What's up, guys? We're back again with another Madden video, and we have breaking news. Matt Stafford and Jared Goff essentially swapped teams last night. Jared Goff going to the Detroit Lions and Matt Stafford getting traded to the Los Angeles Rams for also 2 first-round picks and a third in the near future. Initial thoughts on this, I don't want to say that the Rams won the trade because we don't know until the season progresses, right? However, though, I think the Rams gave up Jared Goff, who is not a good quarterback, 2 first-round picks, which will arguably pretty much be just at the end of the first, and a third that is, whatever. But I think the Rams didn't give up much to essentially have a huge upgrade at quarterback. And if you're looking at this Rams team, what's their struggle? And it's moving the ball. It's a quarterback play that has been very mediocre and inconsistent over the last couple years, in part due to Jared Goff. The Lions, you get your picks, which aren't great, but, it's better to move off of Matt Stafford, which they already agreed to, and just get as much draft capital as they can. And they did do that. You never know. They could draft some really, really solid pieces at the end of that first round. So, what's the idea with this? Let's do a one-season simulation to see which quarterback, which team has the better success. Is it going to be Jared Goff and the Lions or Matt Stafford and the Rams? I don't know. Let's jump into the 2 players to kind of give a quick analysis. All right, looking at Matt Stafford, 33 years old, still definitely in the height of his career. Some people are saying that he is washed, he's regressed terribly. Drew Brees found success in his 30s. That's kind of when he cemented himself as a top 5 quarterback of all time and a Hall of Famer. So Matt Stafford still has plenty of time to develop, get better, and potentially win a couple Super Bowls with the Los Angeles Rams. Okay, so he has star potential, so he still can progress without having too much regression. He's still got a cannon for an arm, still got solid accuracies. This might be the best fit for Matt Stafford. Jared Goff, on the other hand, well, we'll look at that in a second. All right, Jared Goff, 79 overall. He does have star potential still. He has maintained that, so that is promising for them. Still got solid throw power, not as much as Matt Stafford does, but Matt Stafford has one of the best arms of all time, arguably. I think Jared Goff is going to serve as a nice bridge quarterback for the Lions. He's going to be around for a couple more years. You can trade off of him at the end of his contract to a team that wants an expiring deal, and you can get mediocre results from him. That's kind of the goal, right? You're hoping to get a decent quarterback and to get a bunch of assets in return. And I think he'll do that for you. Again, his stats are okay, but he's just not a good quarterback. And the environment that he's going to be in with the Lions, which is a rebuilding team, you're going to have a lot of top-end players that are on the Lions wanting to leave because there's just not going to be a future for them there. So Jared Goff, while he might be okay, he's not going to make the team any better because he just doesn't have any weapons around him, especially if Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones leave in the future with that. All right, one season simulation. Everybody knows the rules. Predictions. I'm going to go with the Rams being the better team. Jared Goff is going to have a pretty underwhelming season. I think Matt Stafford's going to throw for 4,500 plus yards. I don't know if he's going to be an MVP candidate, but I definitely think he's going to have a pretty good season. I think Rams are going to make the playoffs, whether that be a wild card or a divisional. I think this is going to be the step in the right direction that the Rams are hoping for. The Lions, hopefully for them, for their sake, a bad season or a decent season. That way you can get a decent pick in the lottery for the draft. Without further ado, let's jump into this mid-season simulation. All right, the halfway point, we have Matt Stafford having a pretty underwhelming start to his first season with the Rams. 1,672 passing yards for 57% completion. That's looking like Josh Allen in his rookie year. 10 touchdowns and 6 interceptions is not horrible, but it's not that 2-to-1 ratio that you're wanting in a solid quarterback. So overall, pretty bad start for the season for Matt Stafford. Cooper Kupp, decent season. Seems to be close to be on pace for 1,000 yards. Higbee, Robert Woods, Reynolds, decent as well, but just not really what you're looking for in Matt Stafford. As for the Lions, though, let's look at them really quick. Receiving wise, you have Quentin Cephas, Kenny Golladay, TJ Hawkinson. Seems like Jared Goff's going to have a lot of passing yards with this. And yes, he does. Jared Goff looks to be the MVP candidate. So 2,128 passing yards on 17 touchdowns to 2 interceptions with a 61% completion rating. Completion's horrible, but it looks to be that he's just slinging the ball, and he's doing it with good efficiency, at least in comparison to touchdowns to interception ratio. So interesting. Also, Trey Lance is their backup quarterback, so I guess they did draft for the future as well with that. So what are we thinking with this? Is the Lions did the Lions just fleece the Rams and get a better quarterback and potentially have a better future with Jared Goff? I don't know about that, but let's look at the team's overall records to get a better idea with this. All right, the midseason mark, the Lions are 5-3 and in contention for a playoff berth. Now, the Bears, I believe, are above them, but that doesn't mean they can't yield a wild card spot. As for the Rams are 1-6. They cannot move the ball, it seems like. They're getting absolutely scored on defense. I don't know. The simulation seems that it's completely the opposite of what I predicted. Now, is this the reality? I'm going to take a wild shot and say no. I would be surprised if the Lions were better with Jared Goff and not Matt Stafford. Maybe Matt Stafford's just bad luck and this breaks the spell for the Lions, but I just don't think that's the reality. So, without further ado, let's simulate the rest of the season and see, can the Rams turn it around? Is Jared Goff the MVP in the face of the league? Let's find out. All right, at the end of the season, Matt Stafford kind of turns his season around. Not fantastically, but decently. Ends up with almost 4,000 passing yards, 30 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, a very solid ratio there. Completion percentage is pretty garbage. It's around the 60%, but really you're hoping for mid-60s in regards to competent quarterbacks. For receiving wise, did people have good seasons? Josh Reynolds, Cooper Kupp, they were both very close to that 1,000-yard season. Josh Reynolds goes off and gets 12 touchdowns as well, so maybe we have a nice emerging star in Josh Reynolds potentially. But overall, pretty disappointing for Matt Stafford this season. I'm not sure what went wrong. Is this the future? Is this just a crazy string of Madden simulation cheese that is the reality for them? I don't know, but I am curious to look at the Lions to see what did we get with this season. And Quentin Cephas, it seems like they might have slowed down a little bit. Quentin Cephas leading the charge with 964 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. This is the test, though, to see. And Jared Goff drastically slowed down. He finished with 3,828 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 58% completion. It looked like the second half of the season, he only got 7 touchdowns and he threw 5 more interceptions. So Jared Goff drastically slowed down. Was this a win for the Lions? Well, it doesn't look like to be the reality, right? But we'll see. I'm interested to see what the overall team records are. All right, at the end of the season, when we're looking at the NFC Final Rankings, the Rams finished 7-9 and the Lions finished 6-10. So the Rams technically had a better season. I'm not going to say they were the better team, right? But it looks like the Rams still pulled out a better season. Definitely a second half that was better than the Lions. But so what's the conclusion with this, as we simulate to kind of figure out who has the the MVP, who gets the Super Bowl, who won this trade based off the simulation. I think you still got to go with the Rams because you have such a young cast of receivers like Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and Josh Reynolds and Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett that you have the weapons for Matt Stafford to succeed. Now, does that mean that, he's going to be that? Is he going to be the guy they need? I don't know, but the yearly awards will tell us a little bit more. Patrick Mahomes takes home MVP. Zach Wilson from BYU takes home second overall placement in that. So from BYU, that quarterback, the rookie, takes that with 8-8 in the Steelers. As a Browns fan, I'm not a fan of that. Did Matt Stafford or Jared Goff make it into the conversation? No, they did not. Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski, yes sir. Let's look at NFC really quick to see, did either of these guys get any recommendations? Yes, and Matt Stafford does get 6th for Offensive Player of the Year for NFC, but still not ideal, and it doesn't look like Jared Goff got anything for the Lions. So, in conclusion with this, who won the trade? This is pretty inconclusive for the simulation, but it seems like the Rams still have the better future. But let me know. What do you guys think? Who do you think won the trade with this? I'm going to still go with Rams. I think Matt Stafford just inherently the better quarterback, but maybe the Lions have some spark and some crazy luck and Jared Goff turns his career around. But thank you all so much for watching. Again, like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, which is pretty much everyone, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.